Alex, you're here at Sundance for the first time with your second short film.
Yep.
I'll End Up in Jail. The trajectory started at TIFF. Now we're in Sundance, and then you're going to Clermont. So kudos on that great exposure and making a great short film. As a supporter of the short form, so back in Canada, you have an actual distribution label for the short form. So what's your attraction to storytelling in the short form?
It's just plain risk-taking, man. I think that's the strongest part of short film. It's you got nothing to lose. You can wager big. You can take risk on the form or the story you're telling. Mm-hmm. And I love it, man. And I think that's, in that way, the feature form will never get close to short. There's too much money involved. It's too tough to take all those risks. It happens sometimes, but the good thing with shorts, and you can see it in a good short film program, is like every movie you'll see high wager, like the bar is high, the thread you're walking on is thin. I love it.
If you look back at Mutants and this short, you like to place your characters in situations where they're squirming, they're struggling, they're in these impossible moral conflicts. So I'd like for you to discuss the protagonist's journey, not what we see on screen, but how you imagine the character of Maureen and her life before she got to the juncture where she just breaks out. What was Maureen when she was first married and before she had her firstborn, let's say? Did you think back to her backstory?
Of course, yeah. I love my character, and I mean, at some point they speak to me when I write the script, so they're writing the script for me. But Maureen, she was full of dream, man. When she got into this shithole, she was still, I think she was made promises.
Yeah.
And she was willing to work on her part of the deal, but she got crossed by the man she loved, and all those dreams vanished, and she was left with like only the ghost of what it was and the ghost of herself.
I was thinking of a lot of Annette Bening's character in American Beauty, actually. She has this very cathartic moment when she breaks out of a relationship and she sort of like builds the mantra and she builds herself. And so I was thinking way back to 1999. Once again, referencing Mutants, which again, a great 2016 short. I hope that people can seek it out and watch it. What I like about your aestheticism is that you're as comfortable with short, claustrophobic shots, but then you're able to use the plane. There's like crane shots, I think, at the onset, but there's also like an eye line that I appreciate. I don't want to say Fargo-esque, it's too easy to throw in Coen Brothers, but there is a language that you're using. So I was thinking back to the line drive baseball shot where a kid gets knocked in the head, and then he becomes a mutant, even though he plays for the Mutants baseball team. But then again, as a sight gag, but also information loaded sequence, you show this car crash, and I was thinking a lot about that eye line. So tell me about how do you go about building the cinematic language in your short forms?
That's a good question, man. Like those kind of very wide shot where a lot of things happen and sometimes surprise. I don't know, man. For me, it's like it's almost a verse like of poetry. So the screen is so wide that you have a beginning of all of this, of the action and how it looks and everything, and then some things happen, and maybe the composition don't change that much, but you feel it in the action. Yeah. And then you got this kind of punchline and everything kind of flipped on its head, but in the same wide shot, you know. And I kind of love it, man. And I'd love to be visited by those visions, to sign like all my future movies if I could. But yeah, and I love shooting them, like the baseball scene in Mutant when Kevin gets hit by the ball, man. It was great. We didn't know if it would work, and then it worked, and on the screen it was like the people they get kind of hooked by this. When you watch it with people, everybody goes And it's the same thing for the car crash with Maureen.
I like films that deal with that explore the psyche of a town or little small town villages and stuff like that. And I think we learn to love all of these characters, even if there's some bastards and whatnot, and some, like evil mullet people, whatnot. I think we can appreciate all of them. You're so generous in exploring their psychology and their quirks and like. And yeah, they're good people. Just sometimes they do bad things.
Yeah.
And I love that about your cinema. I mean,
man, it's for me. That's like a lot of people are like, you know, yeah, your character are a bit burlesque. You know, they're like big, weird looking, or the traits might be big. But that's when you see only an image. But when you dive deep in the film, you see that they got all those contradiction and they got some dimension. And for me, I mean, it's our only hope of redemption as human being. Even if you're bastard, man, somewhere in you there's some light shining and there's a way I can enter into your personality and give you some love, you know. And I'm like, my quest to find that in all the character I build is super important. And I'm glad you noticed it, because sometimes we live in a very political time and it's very divided, black or white, one side of the aisle or the other. And I don't think there's any redemption for us if we think this way.
Yeah.
And I like this way of the middle, where we have to kind of work and do our part of the comprehension to find the other person.
Well said. Well said. I'll end with this. So you're working on a feature. It's called Shape. I don't want to necessarily know about the film itself, but I want to know about what are some of the themes that you're curious in exploring. And like I said, I love the DNA of the characters in your short films. Are we going to find more or less some of the same, outlook on life?
Yeah, man, I think it's part of me, so I'm pretty sure it will transpire and be in there. I'm going back to where I shot my first two films.
Okay.
So I'm going back in La Beauce region. Shout out to La Beauce people that are watching. And
population what?
What's up?
Population what? La Beauce?
My I don't know for the whole region. For the town where I come from, Saint-Honoré-de-Chenley, it's like around 1,000 people.
Great.
So we're going back there, and what I love with Mutant was casting in the wild, and I want to bring that back in that feature film. I want to bring back those faces that tell so much without saying a word. But at the same time, I love the dramatic tension we've managed to build with I'll End Up in Jail, and all this kind of darkest part of mankind, and I want to dive deeper in there.
Great.
So I think we'll talk about power, and we'll talk about identity and how you kind of built yourself through adversity. And I'd love to dig deeper into the genre. So it's dirtier and messier. Yeah.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to your feature, and thank you for your two shorts. I think they're absolutely great. So
a pleasure, man.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci à toi.
If you want to support us, subscribe below. For more reviews, interviews, film festival coverage from Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, you want to check out these guys on this side.